I'm recording now, so if you want to get started, you can. There's some students still coming in, but yeah, you can get started.
All right, well, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. My name is Gianna Filomeo. Thank you guys for having me today. We will be doing an admissions presentation. If you have any questions, I know that you have to get up and chat them in the box or type them in, but hopefully I'll be able to address them all. And if you do have any after the presentation, I'm more than happy to answer. I will be turning off my camera because I want you to focus more on the presentation. But with that, my name again is Gianna Filomeo. I am the territory manager for the Alameda County, excluding Oakland, and the Hong Kong area. And we will go into our presentation with Berkeley. The first thing we like to acknowledge is our land acknowledgement. We take a moment to recognize that Berkeley's campus sits on the territory of the Huchun. It's the ancestral and unceded land of the Chochoni Ohlone, the successors of the historic and sovereign Verona Band of Alameda County. This land was and continues to be of great importance to the Ohlone people, and we recognize that every member of the Berkeley community has and continues to benefit from the use and occupation of this land since its institution's founding in 1868. Consistent with our values of community and diversity, we have a responsibility to acknowledge and make visible of the university's relationship to the Native peoples by offering this sovereignty, and will work to hold the University of California, Berkeley more accountable to the needs of American Indian and Indigenous people. Of course, Berkeley is one of the 9 UC campuses. We are in the Bay Area, close to Oakland and San Francisco, which you all are well have known. We are in the middle of many areas of culture, music, restaurants, museums around us, and of course, to Northern California, there are trips to Tahoe. Location is always an importance when it comes to the UC factor, because our campuses are wonderful, but they also differ. Our minimum requirements, of course, we encourage college prep coursework, AP, IB, community college. There's not one preferred over another. A through G courses, most students in California are already on path completing these A through G. Berkeley is one of the UCs that is flexible when it comes to A through G requirements. Areas where not in the A through G is English and math. And if you're interested in the College of Engineering or Chemistry, English, math, and science. But for other areas of A through G, whether students meet these requirements or not, we will always still review the applicant. Minimum GPA, we encourage a 3.0 for California residents and of course a 3.4 for international and non-residents. However, if a student has below a 3.0 GPA, we don't discourage them from applying. We just identify that it's best to specify in the application grades, other aspects of eligibility, so that they can give us information in the context. Eligibility and selection. Eligibility refers to an applicant who meets the requirements for UC admissions. We encourage students to meet eligibility. However, like I said, if they don't, we will still review them for Berkeley admissions. Selection refers to our process to choose students for admissions to a particular campus or program. For Berkeley, luckily, us as admissions officers are out of the selection process because we have phenomenal students that apply to our campus. Space is one of the most difficult aspects because we're limited to those students we're able to offer admissions. Berkeley's campus is less than 17%, so selection does come into play, as well as eligibility. Whether there are more applicants, that's where the space comes into. We, like I said, encourage eligibility because those students that do meet that are strongly considered, but we take everything into view in the process, which we'll discuss. Changes, of course, to UCs. Berkeley, we are going test friendly, which we started in 2021. So the SAT and the ACT are what we call blind, meaning that we don't see these scores in our review process. Some students still want to identify the scores on the UC application. You're more than welcome to do that. But for Berkeley's holistic review, these tests are not considered in our overall admission decision. And then, of course, we will be going test friendly through 2022 to 2024. We will still consider APs, IBs. If you're able to sit for the SAT subject exams, that's, more than fine. Nothing negatively impacts the application. So these areas we like to address. We do a holistic review on the application is going to be viewed. The most important in a holistic review is the demographics of your high school. Does your high school offer AP, IB, college level? Are students taking advantage of that rigor? That is one of the importances because we're seeing how you're doing academically in your course and your school. Not one single attribute guarantees admissions to UC Berkeley. There's also what we call ELC, eligibility by local context. If you're in the top 9% of your school, you're guaranteed admissions to one UC, but unfortunately, Berkeley and UCLA are excluded from this. So we are looking to getting to know whom you are within your academics and how you're challenging yourself, your extracurricular, whether it is school-based, community-based, home. We don't discriminate in this aspect. So we're seeing within your extracurricular what you're doing outside of your academics, and also the personal insight questions, which allows us to get to know you through the application. Context does matter. I always state to students, there is nothing that can negatively impact your application. The more information that you are providing gives us a better understanding of you as an individual. Academics improvement, along with school environment, especially with COVID, first generation college are areas that we look at as well, special program participation. So within your school, if your school offers a lot of APs, but you're taking a limited amount, tell us why. This is not a negative. You're just explaining the context to your academic situation. We're happy to take this into consideration. Home, school, within the extracurricular, if you're not able to partake in programs, whether they're in your community or your school, because you have family obligations, this is also a strong area that we want to know what's going on outside of your academics, so we have that better understanding. So context does matter. We want you to tell us everything and anything. We're happy to read that. Our application, you are going to report all of your academics as they would appear on your transcript. So if a school says it's an honors level course, you put honors, college level, vice versa. We want you to make sure that the academics do mirror it, because one of the things sometimes students do is they either don't have their transcript or they try to guess. I'm going to encourage within the UC application, you do have that transcript so that you can just enter everything that is addressed on there. Awards, extracurriculars, all of that in the EC, we want you to approximate. Don't exaggerate, but approximate. Berkeley does not validate your hours in the extracurricular, but the UC system can audit students. So encourage to approximate to the best of your hours and time that you're spent. You also really want to focus on your role within your extracurricular and what you do in that role. Your personal insight questions, there are 8 questions. There is no right or wrong question for when it comes to a student answering them. We are encouraging students to talk about themselves and get directly to the point. These personal insight questions are similar to a one-on-one interview. So anything of importance that's molded, shaped, or you've grown into the person that you are, will tell us who you are as an individual. And the additional comments is after that. So it's an extra added 500 words. We encourage students to list any information that maybe wasn't in the application or the academics or the extracurricular or even the personal insight questions that students feel that they want to tell us about. If you took a college level course and you got a W, you listed it on the academics, but you want to further explain, this gives us more context, so we're happy to take that into view. So whatever you choose to say in the additional comments, we are happy to take in. Of course, with Berkeley, 5 things to know about our process. We use a holistic review. Everything is viewed in our holistic review process. We are test-free from 2022 to 2024, possibly even longer, we'll see. One application for all 9 UC campuses. So we encourage you to apply broadly. There is a fee waiver if you qualify for 4 free campuses. Letters of recommendation, they are not able to be submitted with the application. Berkeley is the only UC campus that can reach out to students and ask for letters of recommendation. It's a very small amount of students that are asked, and it is not a negative thing if you are asked. It's not a negative thing if you are not asked. Letters of recommendation usually will reiterate what a student has already expressed in their application that a counselor or teacher is telling us. And they are not the overall admission decision. And then, of course, your personal insight questions. We really strongly encourage students, to tell us every little thing about yourself and your story, because you are the unique. And of course, we always state to students that make sure your PIQs don't blend all together. So if you start one with leadership, make sure that your other PIQs are talking about other impacts in your life. I have seen students where they start with leadership and then it kind of merges into all of their PIQs. So we're only learning certain things about a student, which would have been helpful to know more. And of course, with Berkeley, discovering our programs goes into our colleges. We have anywhere from Bachelor of Arts to Bachelor of Science. Letters in Science happens to be our most popular and our largest college on campus. It is a Bachelor of Arts. We have Bachelor in Science in Chemistry, Engineering, Natural Resources, and of course our business school. And our Environmental Design is our Bachelor of Arts as well. Our ratio to student to faculty is 18:1, and we have over 150 undergraduate majors and minors. Letters in Science, like I said, is the largest college. It has over 3,000 students on campus. The majority of students, freshmen and transfer, apply to Letters in Science. It is a Bachelor of Arts, but it is just as competitive as a Bachelor of Science when it comes to a degree. For Letters in Science, as a freshman, you are admitted to the college, but not the major. I am going to stress to students that if you are looking for computer science in the College of Letters in Science for 2022, if you are considering that, apply to it. Some of you may have heard rumors that the University of California, Berkeley is going to track freshmen for the computer science because it is our #1 high demand major. So there is discussion about freshmen applying to Letters in Science, computer science. If offered admissions, you are already tracked and in there. It has not been decided, but I'm just encouraging students to apply to Letters in Science for Letters in Science, computer science, if that's what you're looking for in that college. Everything else is undecided. The College of Chemistry is one of our smaller colleges. It is a competitive college. It houses only 3 majors. And of course, we encourage students within the academics of math and science to challenge themselves of what their high school has to offer. The College of Engineering, they admit less than 10% of freshmen that apply. Math and science is also strongly recommended. There is what we call the MET program, which is a joint program between the Haas School of Business and the College of Engineering. It's a dual degree. It is a very competitive program. We have around 3,000 applicants. We admit less than 100 students. And if you enjoy not having a life, this is the program for you because you are completing 2 degrees in 4 years. There is not a lot of flexibility when it comes to study abroad, taking courses outside of the curriculum. You are doing quite a bit within both of these programs. If you apply to MET and you are not offered admissions to this program, you are considered for the College of Engineering alone. Environmental Design happens to be our smallest college. They have only 4 majors. They focus more on studio courses, but it's a very small and wonderful college. Rausser College of Natural Resources. This is one of the colleges I like to promote. I'm also the liaison, but if you're looking for the pre-med emphasis, this college focuses on not only the earth science, but human science. So it is great for health professions. They have around 2,000 students in their college. And so this is also one of the colleges that I encourage if you're looking to do pre-med that can benefit. And with the smaller college, you're going to have more hands-on with your advisors, where letters and science, you may not have the specific person, the same one for all 4 years. You will get your questions asked, answered, but you have more flexibility within letters and science to do your own individual decisions. Of course, Haas is our MBA program. We unfortunately don't permit freshmen to apply to Haas, but we do house our global management program. It is under the College of Letters and Science. Students can apply for this program. If offered admissions, you are already in Haas. If you are not offered admissions for this program, you're considered for the College of Letters and Science, which will still benefit because all students considering Haas have to apply to Letters and Science as an undeclared business major. Within next steps on our campus, we offer support and resources, whether it's the College and Career Center or the Discover Berkeley series, or we even have the Contact UC, which for prospective students, they can fill out a little drop down where you ask a specific question and it goes to your territory manager, to which they will respond and answer, whether we can answer it or provide links that will help get your question answered. We also have a general phone line, but I always encourage the Contact UC Berkeley. For our timeline, those of you guys who are applying for 2022, that application has already been started and I'm sure you're working hard on it. October is when students start to fill out FAFSA and DREAM. So that's going to open and I encourage students to jump on that, get those taken care of and get those submitted because that's very important. November 1st through the 30th is when you are able to hit submit on that application. So I encourage to make sure that you double and triple check for the application before you hit submit, because unfortunately that application is still kind of in a dinosaur period where if there's anything that's missing on it, unfortunately, once you submit it, you can't go back and update or correct it. So just double check and triple check before you do hit that submit. There's no difference if you submit it on the 1st or the 30th. We for Berkeley, we're going to be reviewing apps well into March to when our decisions go live. And of course, if you are waiting till the 30th, make for sure you have till 11:59, but I encourage students not to go past 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That application does have hiccups, so sometimes it will go down. December through February, we encourage students to create what we call My Application Portal. That's where Berkeley's admission decisions are housed, as well as other information that we can reach out to students, such as like scholarships, financial aid, letters of recommendation. So between that period, we're going to encourage students to be checking your email, including your junk and spam. Some of our mail does go there, and make sure that you're responding to any request that the UC is reaching out to you for. Berkeley, our application or our freshman decisions go live late March, around the 24th. We don't have a specific time, we just give that date. Our transfers, we do release our decisions in mid-April. And then for those of you, for everybody offered admissions, May 1st is that deadline for the UC system. We tell students you can say yes to more than one UC, but be aware that you are going to be held to that fee. So if you say yes to more than one UC, you're going to have to pay that SIR fee, and the UC Office of the President is going to have you on their radar because they're going to say, hey, we noticed that you said yes to multiple schools, but you're going to have to withdraw from all but one. Berkeley is not aware to any other UC campus you were admitted to. We don't talk to our sister campuses. So the only one who knows if you say yes to more than one UC is the Office of the President. So I encourage, if you have multiple UCs and you're really contemplating, wait until the 1st, just so that, for one, if money becomes an issue, you don't have to be held to that fee or fees. June 1st is for our transfer. So those that apply as a transfer have until that specific date. I always encourage students to apply as freshmen, apply broadly. The hardest decision you should ever have to make is who's going to offer me the best education and where do I want to go. If you decide that Berkeley is not what you're looking as a freshman, there's always the transfer path, and then of course graduate. We always encourage students to sign up for our admissions. Keeps you in the loop to things that are going on. changes that are coming about. Not too many changes for right now, but we do also have social media accounts. If you are wanting to come to Berkeley's campus, we are now doing in-person campus tours. They are still small, but that is an option. We do also have virtual presentations that are going Monday through Friday. And then of course we have our Contact Berkeley for students who have continuing questions. I always encourage students just to have fun and do your best, apply broadly. For the engineering, if we have students that are interested, Berkeley is a great opportunity, but so is Davis, Irvine, Merced, San Diego, Riverside, UCLA, San Jose State University, and even Cal Poly Pomona, along with MIT. For the pre-med emphasis, I state Berkeley, but not only Berkeley, there's Davis, there's UCLA, UC Santa Cruz, and UC Santa Barbara, possibly San Diego. For business, Berkeley and UCLA have the top business programs, but majority of all UCs do offer economics or other aspects within the major for all UC campuses. So there's a lot of wonderful opportunities, and that's why I usually encourage students to apply broadly. Sometimes you could take a virtual or an in-person campus tour just to get a better feel for that. I stress to students that Berkeley and Santa Cruz are usually the two campuses that are bipolar when it comes to weather. The Southern California is a bit different. And then of course, Davis and Merced also tend to be on the hotter side. So that is pretty much it for our admissions presentation. If you guys want to ask questions or if you want to chat in questions, something that I did not hit on, you're more than welcome to. I'm also going to turn my camera back on.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Gianna? Raise your hands if you have questions. There's a lot of you here. I know there's got to be some questions.
Don't worry. Ask away. I'm happy to answer. And I don't know how much time I have left.
We got one question here. Can you see?
I can see.
Remember to speak up so she can hear you.
Do you have any departments involving psychology?
We do. So psychology happens to be our #2 in my book, high demand major. We have a wonderful psychology department along with the UCLA. So we have a major itself as well as the department. And there's other depending on what you want to do. If you're looking to be a psychologist, you don't necessarily have to go psychology. You can go sociology, social welfare, but it does fall under the College of Letters and Science. So as a freshman, if you apply to Letters and Science, that major itself is not going to impact our overall admission decision. You could say psychology, you could say public health, you could say underwater basket weaving if it had it. You are an undecided for freshman. And if any of you guys are pre-med, we do have many pre-med, not pre-med majors, but majors that fall within the pre-med understructure. You have a pre-med department. The same with pre-law. We have that too. Was I able to answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody else have any question? We have one in the back. Maybe if you're able to get through.
Can you hear me? So, what kind of extracurricular activities you see Berkeley looking for?
We're not looking for any specific extracurricular. If you're able to do school-based, great, but we know that with COVID it had an impact to where students weren't able to do school-based and even some community-based. A lot of them ended up having to take on family obligations. So if you want to identify in specifics to the detail of those activities you were doing, we don't discriminate. I used to read Washington, and a lot of now the Washington, they identify as driving to school as one of their activities. In some cases, it's more of hobby-based, but we encourage students just to address what you're doing outside of the classroom within that time that you're at either home or you're outside of school. That's perfectly fine. If you are involved in sports or clubs on your school, that's great. How you spend your time is you as an individual. We're not saying you have to have one specific thing. We're just trying to view you on what you're doing.
Okay. Also, another question. So, do the volunteer hour still matter, or it don't matter?
Well, we encourage just to address or approximate your hours. because it's just showing us what you're doing. If you go to school and you go home, I expect, to have strong grades. We know that, you're after school, you're at home, so you can focus more on your studies. But a lot of students, that's not what they look like. They are after school, either family obligations or clubs and organizations, whether it's a long period of time or a short period of time. Whatever you're, doing within that time structure, we want you to approximate so that we're seeing how you balance outside of the academics. And if you have leadership roles, we want you to tell us about that. If you're not in a leadership role, but you end up helping out and leading, we also want you to tell us about that too.
So there's no actual requirement for the volunteer hours, right? There's
Could you repeat that, please?
Speak up a
So
little bit.
there's no requirement for the volunteer hours, right?
Correct. There is no requirements for any area on the UC application. Over 90% of our students are phenomenal students, and we wish we could offer more space. Unfortunately, California gives us a limit to what we can when it comes to admissions. Therefore, that's why our percentage is so low. So there is nothing specifically that we're saying you must meet this in order to be competitive or an admission space. That's why we say there's no single attribute. We just want to understand who you are as an individual, because we have strong students.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
We got one in the back.
You mentioned pre-law. Can you go into that more?
Sure. So for our pre-law freshmen, we usually encourage the College of Letters and Science. Most students will want political science as a major, or we even have legal studies, or there's interdisciplinary studies. As a freshman, you are held to the college, not to the major. I'm going to say with the exception of computer science, just because I don't know how 2022 is going to go, but every other major in letters and science is technically undecided. So no matter what you list on there, you are coming into Berkeley, whether you change your major or not. If you decide pre-law, there is a program on our campus for pre-law that is actually really great. And we, I should say, the UC system houses UC to DC, which students can do an internship in Washington, DC with courses. I'm not sure if, I don't think anybody went last year, and I'm not sure if they went 2020, but this program has been very popular. And even some of our students that are student ambassadors, they went to this program and loved it. So it is one of the areas that I like to promote. And I can also see if I can pull up, well, I don't know if it's going to help you guys too much. If you go to Berkeley's website and you put in pre-law in the search box, you can pull up the pre-law program as well as the pre-med program. Berkeley has what we call Guide at Berkeley. Guide houses all of our undergraduate and our minors and our graduate majors as well. So it kind of gives you a little bit more of an understanding of Berkeley's campus and what each undergraduate degree identifies, because there are some similarities within the College of Chemistry. There's major overlap with Letters and Science, the College of Engineering and the College of Letters and Science, and the Rausser College, along with Haas with the College of Letters and Science. So we encourage students to know the college they want to apply for. If you say you want letters and science, but you really have your heart set on engineering and you're offered admissions, unfortunately, flexibility does not allow you to petition for a change of college and major into chemistry or engineering. So we encourage students, you can look at Guide to see which major is more of a fit for you, because that's the college you're going to want to apply to on our campus. We unfortunately don't offer an alternate, so it's that one specific college. And then, of course, if you're kind of on the fence and you don't really know which one you want, that one, I say you can always apply for the harder one. If you're offered admissions, then you can petition for a change of college from, say, engineering to chemistry, or excuse me, engineering to letters and science, or chemistry to letters and science, but you can't go the other way. So some of the majors, like I say, do overlap. There really is no difference between a BA and a BS in my book. But in some cases, students are just really, adamant about what their degree entails. So we encourage the Guide.
Is there
Any other
questions? Yeah, if you want to say another question, let's get out later.
we got one question here.
Do you guys offer any toxicology for courses?
We do. So under the college, or the Rausser College of Natural Resources, they have nutritional science, which is one of the pre-med tracks, and it goes into different areas. It has physiology, metabolism, toxicology, and anatomy and physiology. So that would be my encouragement. Natural resources, if you apply for the college and the major, you're admitted to both, but there is flexibility, and there is also an undecided for freshmen for natural resources. So it's honestly up to you. It's a smaller college, and they have less applicants than the College of Letters and Science. They have around 9,000 applicants, and they admit a little less than 1,000 spaces for students for freshmen. So.
Thank you. You got another question?
It's very hands-on college, and you do flexibility. Anybody else?
Any question?
Yeah. Two things. What, do you have any, programs for, forensic science?
Can you repeat that?
Forensic
Programs for-
science programs.
Forensic science, not as much. That one is a little, I would say for forensic science, UC Irvine or Riverside, I can't recall, but I think Sac State has that as well. I would encourage either integrative biology or under the College of Letters and Science, because integrative biology has tracks, but there's not one specifically for forensic science, but it could be close. Or you can consider Rausser College within, honestly, I would probably say nutritional science. But unfortunately, Berkeley doesn't offer a forensic science within the major or program on our campus, but we may have something comparable that would benefit. But I would look into Irvine or Riverside. I think they have a program.
All right, second question. Once the pandemic ends, is SAT and ACT going to be something, a requirement again?
No, in our opinion, at this point, SAT was never one that was the overall admission decision. It was neutral. We saw students that, were admitted that were between like a high score between a 680 and an 800, but we also saw students that were lower. We did away with it because we felt that it wasn't the overall decision and that we wanted to try something new. It'd been on the table for quite some time. And honestly, we are till 2024 test friendly. We could even go longer than that. And I believe other UC campuses are following and the same review. Now, private schools, they may encourage you to still have that. That's great. But for us and some of the UCs, it is test friendly.
Questions?
The UC application is a slot to put in your SAT or ACT score, and it says that it won't be accounted for in the application process, but it'll be used to put you in classes. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so with that, what they're stating is that though it's not identified for our holistic review process, you can still list these courses and submit them if offered admissions and you accept the UC, depending on the school. Or the ACT or the SAT2s, if they need graduate, those test scores will benefit you only in that aspect, but not in the admissions. Not getting into Berkeley, but graduating from Berkeley, they can help. SATs, ACT, AP, IB, college level courses, and A levels can help a student within graduation requirements.
Any other questions? Okay, got one question here.
I have a question. So I want to go into music, and what college in Berkeley would that fall under?
That falls under our College of Letters and Science. In our humanities, we offer music. Depending on what you're looking to do, if it's more like in studio music, it's not necessarily that. I would say Santa Cruz and even some of the Southern Californias do offer that. Our music is a little bit different, but it just depends. I would say to check guide and our music major to ensure that if it's what you're looking to do. And hopefully it is.
And also, so I was thinking of going into like two different, because I like music and I like English. So if I were to go into like both of those, would that be at the same college?
It
So
would be, yes. So English is not a high demand major at this time, and neither is music. As letters and science, you can be undecided, or you can select music or English. That major doesn't have an impact and for the freshman decision overall, but you can do a dual degree in the same college, or you can even do a simultaneous degree in 2 different colleges. If it's engineering or chemistry, that one can be really difficult if you don't apply to either of those 2. But yeah, you can do a dual. You can also minor depending on what you want. We had a student who earned a degree in nutritional science with a BA in nutritional science, a BS in nutritional science, a BA in philosophy, a BA in economics, and a minor in music. She did all 3 with the minor in 4 years, but you won't have a life. So that's something to think about, is when you're doing a dual degree, you may have to add more courses. You may even be on our campus a little bit longer, like maybe a semester longer, unless summer is an option for you, but it is accessible.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Talk about UC Berkeley financial aid program.
So within our financial aid, normally when it comes to financial aid, I would say Berkeley's website has a financial aid calculator along with residency aid and scholarships. I encourage them to answer all questions. California students, those are the students that are going to be receiving aid. It just depends on the income. That's where the calculator comes in, and it can benefit a student because it can give you a range for the UC. California students are going to receive aid. They're also eligible for most or all of our scholarships, where international students, unfortunately, don't have that luxury or benefit. Financial aid, I've heard students this year, they're like, oh, I got a wonderful package. And I was like, ooh, that's good. Because aid is one of the aspects that I know stresses students out, along with housing. And our campus does not guarantee housing. We use the word prioritize now, which means our newly admitted students have first come, first serve, and then our continuing students are after that. But if it does come down to financial aid, I do encourage to view their website, only because it is a different department and everything that is said falls under them. And there could be additional information that can help you as a student identify either questions with the frequently asked questions, or if you do have additional, you can reach out to them and they can answer it. One of my students was like, I got a great package. I was like, get that in blood. It's a lot of the students have been really happy with financial aid, but that is just something that is outside of the department. And I was like, make for sure that you are going to be happy and healthy on our campus. With most of our courses back in person, we've had no issues. We've had COVID cases on campus. Our larger courses are still being taught Zoom, but as of spring 2022, I believe everything is going back to in person.
Any more questions? You guys have any questions?
You are welcome. So you can reach out to Contact Berkeley, which is going to communicate with me. That is always encouraged. You can reach out to me personally. I'm more than happy to answer any questions, but usually the Contact Berkeley, any questions that you ask connects to your application. So as myself as a territory manager, if I communicate with you, it's one thing, but if you do the Contact Berkeley, any staff member can see questions that you had, and it just can kind of better understand the context to any concerns that you as a student may have and that we were able to answer.
Gianna, before you go, we have one more question.
Sure.
You guys have a wrestling program, right?
We do. We have over 28 varsity sports. If you are looking for recruitment, I usually encourage your high school coach to reach out to Berkeley, but students can also reach out to the coaches at Berkeley's campus as well, whether you're recruited, so that can benefit scholarship wise, or if you're offered admissions and you want to walk on to a team, that is an option as well, but we do have wrestling.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right. Oh, we have one question over here. I can't, she's not on the camera, but you can speak.
I heard that there is a pre-med school in Berkeley. They have a website.
We do. I'm welcome to list it in here. I don't know if you guys will honestly see the chat. That's the only difficult thing. What I could also do is send it to your counselors. We don't have what we call a pre-med specific major, but we have Rausser College of Natural Resources and Letters in Science. Both of those colleges do house any student looking to do pre-med. You don't have to go science. in order to earn a pre-med degree. You do have to have the requirements of bio, math, chemistry, and physics, but you don't necessarily have to earn an undergraduate degree in a science-related major. You could do linguistics, you could do what other areas? I've seen a girl that did architecture under the College of Environmental Design. She had the requirements necessary for pre-med, but she wasn't earning a degree in a science-based area. So the encouragement, there's a BA and a BS, depending on what you want. One college is larger, offers more space for admissions. That's a BA. The other is a smaller college. It's a BS. But nutritional science works for pre-med under the College of Rausser. Also microbial biology, genetic and plant, and molecular environmental biology. For letters and science, integrative biology and molecular and cell biology are our two most popular, and they're also high demand majors. So letters and science or Rausser for pre-med is a wonderful opportunity. It just depends on what you want to do, but those will be my two colleges. Unless you're looking for bioengineering, then of course that falls under engineering's umbrella, but that's more for the CDC aspect.
Um,
Anyone else?
one more question.
Sure.
Do you think have anything involving any degrees involving crime investigation?
Unfortunately, we don't. I know Sac State has a really good program that they offer. I would say Irvine, or I can't remember if it's Irvine or Riverside. I always get the I and the R confused, but they have a forensic and a crime that is unique. Berkeley, unfortunately, we don't.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? I don't know what time you guys got to go back.
Yeah, they'll all get hall passes.
Okay.
All right. That's it. All right. Just want to thank you again for coming in, Gianna.
No
Thank you
problem.
so much for answering all these questions. Had a
problem.
big turnout today.
No problem. If you want, I can send you some links for the guide that you can give to students that will help them with majors. Also for pre-law, pre-med. I can give you for programs, because we do offer some like the MET program, the global management program. We do offer what we call Sciences Po, which is a dual degree between universities in France and Berkeley. They do 2 years in France, and then they complete the remainder of their degree here on our campus. We also have one that's Hong Kong University. So those are something to consider. You know, it's just maybe something that a student may say, hey, this looks interesting, I want to do this. But you know, anything that could hopefully make our campus appealing and give a student what they're looking for, I always like to, you know, put out there so they see everything about us.
Awesome. That sounds great. Thank you.
No problem. All right, guys. Well, thank you all for being here. Hopefully I didn't take too much of your time. If you have additional questions, contact Berkeley. I can also, if you know, if you want to share my information, you're welcome to share it. I'm happy to answer. Just remind me where we met, because we do have a lot of students. But, you know, take care of yourself. Wish you all health and happiness. For those of you applying for 2022, great. We look forward to your application, and you guys have a wonderful weekend.
All right. Thank you, Gianna. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. Bye, guys.